Good morning. How are you? Oh, I'm fine. Thanks for asking. It's Friday. Heading into the office. Tad called in sick, so I don't need to be there to let him in. So I decided, why don't I take this opportunity and do another driving video, say hi to everybody. Apparently these driving videos are liked, beloved, if you will. And when we don't do them, people notice. And so that's given me some ideas. Of course, it'll probably not be as well received as these, but we'll see. We'll see. Good morning, Wonder Monkey. Good morning, Gene. How are you? How are ye? Francis, good morning. We're heading through the booming metropolis known as Fairfield, Pennsylvania. Morning, Ron. James says, I learned how to drive because of these videos. I'm glad I could help you. James, I'm going to call you when I get to the office. Good morning, MC. David, good morning. Dustin, morning. Coronet, good morning from Lake Hopatcong. I used to live in Landing. What a small world. Lake Hopatcong, very, very nice corner of New Jersey. A lot of people go, oh, there's nothing nice about New Jersey. That's not true. The problem, if I may, is the people. Too many, too nasty, too smelly. And then there's that corridor that is just looks like a used up Western hooer, but I would say the bulk of the landmass of New Jersey is beauteous. I mean, yeah, it's nice. Lake Hopatcong is one of them. Huge, I believe it's man-made or partially man-made. I can't remember the history of Lake Hopatcong. But yeah, I always liked going there. There used to be this island with was it an island or a peninsula? Either way, there was a landmass out in the water that had a amusement park on it. And I remember as a kid, the guy my aunt was dating at the time had a boat on the lake, and we all went out and spent the afternoon out there on the lake, and we went over to the island and walked around and explored, and it was abandoned at a time, like it was no longer in business, so it was all these graffitied rides and everything like that. I think it's condos now, if I'm not mistaken, but I can't remember the name of it. Barbara Schultz, there's Barbara. Barbara, I want to say, I was watching the show the other night, and the very first thing I say is, Barbara, you're such a curmudgeon, and I want you to know I said that lovingly. I really do. I was thinking about this yesterday. I really do love Barbara because she speaks to that inner voice that I have that beats me up every day. She says a lot of things that I beat myself up about, and I think that's why I love her, because she agrees with me. Sometimes I say these things out loud and everybody around me is like, that's not true. Don't say that about yourself. And it angers me when they do that, because I'm telling you, I've thought long and hard about this, and this is what I've concluded. Barbara says she agrees with me. And so it makes me laugh, the curmudgeonly things you do. So I hope you, I just heard it and I was like, oh, that's kind of insulting. I sounded, what a way to start a show, right? Call out one of the members of the audience and call them a curmudgeon and move on. So I hope you didn't get your feelings hurt by that, Babs. Stan's Audio Archives, good morning to you. BKW, good morning. Love the Pickles Charge episode with Jim. Thank you. Yeah, he broke the record when Steve Sims was on. I think our highest was 150 at once. Court told me he saw 180, and I think I saw that too. But the as the record stands, YouTube says it was 166 concurrent viewers, and I think that's because you have to be in for a certain amount of time for it to be considered a view, and I think it's like 30 seconds. I don't know what it is, but so that means some people pop on and pop right off and don't even wait 30 seconds. So yeah, so that was good, and yeah, people seem to be liking it. It's getting good comments. I like when Jim comes on. I have fun with Jim. I think, and I have to thank, I see, he says our audience says, but I think it's his audience, because in the early days, the hate I saw online was directed at me from his audience members. And I saw my audience members were like, oh, I listened to both your shows. And that's the problem when you have an audience that's nice. They make you suffer the indignity of listening to the competition. But Jim and I, obviously we're friends, and I think a lot of our humor comes from the fact that his audience hated me, and we, I don't know, we got a kick out of that or something. And I guess because we thought, or they thought, that we were supposed to hate each other because they hated me, or I don't know how that works, but so yeah, so I have fun when he comes on, because it's not supposed to be, according to some people. We're not supposed to get along, and we're not supposed to joke around, but we have fun when we do shows together. I mean, I'll direct you to my friend Pat McGuire's show, the History Things podcast. I think it was last year. Yeah. It was last year. We probably about a year ago, we went down to Pat's house in Maryland and recorded a show about the Little Big Horn, and we had fun with that. And so yeah, I like when Jim's on. He's going to come on again. We're going to talk about the Union defense of Pickett's charge, and I have to remember to include the artillery casualties during the cannonade, because a listener requested that. So, gotta remember. Coronet says, you are so right. What was I right about? I forgot. Largest lake in New Jersey. Oh, about New Jersey, and it's not the land, it's the people. Yeah, and of course, I have family and friends back there. It's not all the land or all the people. Of course, it's never all the anything. Like and share this, folks. That's right, Gene. Thank you very much. I always forget to say that. My only experience with New Jersey, Ron says, was at Fort Dix and Trenton in 1977. I have no urge to return. Yeah, I've been through Trenton once, and I was like, I hope I never have to go here again. In fact, that was one of the reasons I wanted to move out of the state, was so that I'd never have the need to go to Trenton. Barbara, yeah, about not starting on time here in the comments. But it wasn't just they're not starting on time. It was like they're not starting on time again, or something like they're as usual. And I really do get a kick out of people who get things for free and complain. I once in a while, like, I'll catch a video online of some Karen complaining about something that she got for free at a store or a restaurant or something. I remember there was a time when Popeyes was giving away free chicken all day, and they ran out. Of course, they ran out like very early, and so the news did a report, and it had all these people complaining that they ran out of free chicken. And it's like, I don't know, that says more about you than it says about Popeyes. Like, one lady was like, how am I going to feed my kids today? Yeah? Really? That was your plan? Oh, look, Popeyes is having free chicken on Wednesday. Okay, well, that's how we're eating that day, kids. Sorry your life sucks so much, but make better decisions. Jesus. I didn't hear curmudgeon. Was this the Hessler show? Yeah, it was literally the beginning of the show, not 30 seconds after you said, oh, they're late again, as usual. What did you do? Like, leave that comment and then leave? Oh, they're late again. I'm out of here. Bertrand's Island, Cornette. That's it. Bertrand's Island. Yes. Yes. I think that was on remember Weird New Jersey, that magazine? It's probably still around. It's probably a website now. But that was definitely in that magazine at some point. I was born in Perth Amboy. I moved to Connecticut at 5 years old. By the way, we're not all rich. Yeah. What was I talking about recently? Was that on a show? Yes, that's right. It was. I always thought that everybody in Connecticut was rich because that's all you ever see of it, right? New Jersey, you see the shit on television and in movies. Connecticut, it's all, these mansions and what was that? Is that Bridgeport? Well, there's a couple places, right? And then when I had to go up there for work a few times, I discovered, oh, there's normal people here too. I think I used the word ordinary. And ordinary is not an insult, by the way. Some people were like, oh, thanks for calling me ordinary. Well, one said that jokingly, but somebody else was serious. And I was like, I don't think ordinary is an insult. It's just a word, just like normal. Charliette, or Charlie T, says, heading up to the villages of Gettysburg, Amblebrook with a load of concrete. Oh, good. Are you going to fill that in so we can maybe someday get back to farm fields? Just cover over all of the houses there. Dr. James, good to hear from you. I haven't seen you in a while. He says, good morning, and I say that back to him. Good morning. Ken Wyman, thank you for the food. You're welcome, Ken. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for coming in and reading your question to Jim live. And I hope you enjoyed the food. Yeah, for those of you who didn't watch the show with Hessler on Wednesday, normally I buy pizza for everybody because we start at 7, but I tell everybody to get there at 6. And that's dinner time for most people. The guides are coming off of a day of guiding, and they're hungry and they want to eat. And I was like, well, we got to sweeten the pot here, right? So unfortunately, I'm going to have to blow some coin on this and get pizza. But luckily for us, the last Ask a Guide, Antica Napoli, where we get the pizza from, donated the pies. I got to try to get him to do that regularly so that he could be a sponsor. Last show on Wednesday, one of our listeners, I believe from Long Island, Bob Passamenti, he said to buy you guys dinner, get you, I believe he put it, or at least the impression I was left with was, get you a couple steaks from the Dobin House. And I was like, oh yeah, all right. And but he was having trouble, or because he wanted to order it ahead of time, right? And the Dobin House, they don't do takeout as a rule. They decide on the day of if we can do takeout based on how busy they are there. You got to understand something about the Dobin House. They don't need to do things the way everybody does things because they are they're an institution here in Gettysburg. They're a must-stop restaurant. You have to have a meal there when you come to town. Everybody knows this. So it's not that they don't need your business. I'm not saying that. But they don't need to do certain things like takeout because they're making bank with people there already, right? Totally understand. So, but Bob would call every day for like 4 days trying to get somebody to say, okay, we'll do it. And finally that day he called and she's like, okay, we can do it. And so he placed an order and said, send Tad over at 5:30 to get it. So I send Tad at 5:30. I go downstairs to let him in. And the look on his face is that of pure shock. And he's like, you won't believe how much food there is. And I go, what do you mean? Like, there's 4 of us, right? I thought 4 steaks. I look at he's got an SUV. I look at his car and the hatch is opened and there are boxes of food. And as we're walking over, he's like, there's an apple pie and a cheesecake. And I go, like a whole apple pie and a whole cheesecake? And he goes, yeah. And I was like, holy crap. I played the video on Wednesday's Ask a Guide. It was enough food, I'm going to say conservatively, for 15 people, maybe 20 people. I didn't count. I should have counted how many entrees there were. It was beautiful. I mean, beautiful. It warmed the cockles. It warmed our bellies. And it fed those who we had at home. Jim took some home. Ken took some. I made Ken and Tim take some. And I felt bad when Tim Day, who runs Digital History Pioneers for us, when they arrived at the door, I said to Tim, I go, did you guys eat? And he goes, yeah, you told us to. And I go, I said, if I had known how much food we were getting, I would have told you to come and join us. I'm sorry. There was so much food there. So I made them take dessert home I don't know what I made them take. I said, just take something. You got to take something. Because there's no way I could have eaten it all. Entree salads, side salads, shrimp, steak. The French onion soup, which of course is like the best in the world. Took a couple of those home. Cindy and I feasted last night. And then we laid there going, oh, why did I eat so much? But you gotta when you have the Dobin House. Crab cakes, ladies and gentlemen. Crab cakes, stuffed shrimp cocktail. It was delicious. Oh, and loaves of that sweet bread that they have with the nuts in it. And oh my God, it was so goddamn good. So goddamn good. And so thank you to everybody at the Dobin House who prepared that. Because I think he called it like 4:30, so it wasn't a lot of time to get it all together and everything like that. So I'm sure you guys did a great job. Everything came out deliciously, and deliciously is that everything came out wonderfully, and everybody really enjoyed it. It was an unexpected and pleasant treat. So thank you, Bob. Thank you, everybody at the Dobin House. And thank you, Jackie, for running such a great business. And that is something we will talk about and remember behind the scenes for a very long time. Okay. Babber says, I had to leave at 8, so I didn't see the whole show. Oh, okay, cool. Good morning, 80th New York, says Project Past. Ken Wyman says, good morning to Project Past. A small town of East Haddam. I don't think I've heard of that. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. Get to watch today because I'm working from home, says Dr. James. Barnett says, thanks for the tour this morning, Matt. You're welcome. Dustin, I'll buy dinner when I come up there. What do you want from Sheets? I like their breakfast sandwiches. Why the Sheets not, right? You don't need to buy us anything. That was just a kind gesture. We're not expecting people to do that ever. And that's why we make super chats of $10 or more rise above the din so that we could offset the cost of buying dinner for everybody. It's my pleasure to do that, but I also can't bankrupt myself Not that pizza's super expensive, but it adds up. And I got yelled at, scolded by my accountant, which was me, when I was going through my bank statements from this year, and way too much of addressing Gettysburg's money was spent on meetings around meals. And that is not happening anymore. So if I'm going to spend money on a meal, it's not for a meeting. We'll do coffee or you come to the studio. No. We're going to spend money on the crew because they deserve it. Not Tad, he gets paid. Mr. Gutty says, good morning. Ken Wyman says, good morning to him. Kevin says, you beat me in here today, Babra. I wondered what happened last night after the Hessler show when you weren't chatting in the last half of the show. Yes. Good morning, Tim. Jeff, good morning to you. Valerie, good morning as well. And Ron, good morning to ye. Ron, any word on the test for you? Aren't you with Lentz on the redheaded? Are you the redheaded stepchild group? With all due respect to redheaded stepchildren. Look at the sun, the way the rays are splayed out. It's pretty cool. See that? Pretty show for us this morning, Mother Nature. Thanks a lot. We really appreciate it. Bill Simpson, good morning from Sarasota. Love your rides. Thanks, Bill. Nice to see you in here. Florida, man. That must be nice to not... I mean, I know you got the hurricanes and stuff, but it must be nice and alligators and probably some poisonous snakes and spiders and stuff. But other than that, it must be nice to not have to deal with snow and freezing cold. So I had a meeting with a production company on Tuesday. Coronation Media is their name. And we have something in the works, ladies and gentlemen, that I certainly hope, but I pretty confidently think you're going to really enjoy. That we want to try to produce this year. And we are pulling out all the stops. We've got a surgeon, we've got a ballistics expert, a firearms, what did he call himself? I forgot, a firearms examiner. And what else do we have there? Well, other surprise things. But it's a pilot for a series that we want to produce and put on what will be addressing history, ultimately. But what we're doing is a couple of pilots for some ideas. This one is a big idea, so it requires money and super slow motion cameras, and so we needed to find like a real production company that can do this. The other pilot we can do with everything that we have in house. We'll put them out, and based on audience reaction, response, whatever, whichever one everybody likes the most and comments on the most, gets the most positive response, is the one that we'll then try to fund more episodes of. It doesn't mean we wouldn't do the other one, but so our goal is to raise the funds for this pilot episode, film it in either August or September, release it by the end of the year. I feel very good about this year. Last year and the year before were bad years for me, morale-wise. It turns out they weren't so bad other ways, but they felt bad. And that's a good lesson in feelings are not facts, right, ladies and gentlemen? Oh, I feel this, and my feeling on this matter is this. Well, great. Feelings are not facts. And so I proved that to myself yet again. It's a lesson I have to keep learning. Anyway, where was I? Oh, yeah. I'm looking forward to doing these things this year. I hope you actually like them. Addressing Gettysburg, as I always say, is not going anywhere. These are additions to it because, we're coming up on a decade. This will be year number 8 of addressing Gettysburg, starting in, actually either this month or June. And the reason I say either one is because I started the Instagram and the website in March 8 years ago. But, oops, I missed my turn. But I moved here. It was actually May 30th. 30 days has September, April, June, and November. All the rest of the, yeah. So it was May 31st when I moved here. And the actual footwork of addressing Gettysburg began. And then you could also, no, because that's when the work began. And then the following June is when our first episode came out. June 6th, actually. I said that is my D-Day because it's also D-Day. So I said that is when I have to do it. And I worked on it all year and released it. Worked on a bunch of things that year behind the scenes that I didn't do. And by the way, anybody out there, there's a lot of people who have come to me and they've said, what's your advice on starting a podcast? And the number one piece of advice that I give somebody who's starting a podcast, and I tell them, if you take none of my advice, make sure this is the only one you take, or something to that effect. I've fucked up the wording there, but basically, if you only take one, if you only take one piece of advice, this is the one to take, and you will thank me in 2 years. And that is, only you can prevent forest fires. No, only you know that you're doing this. Shut your mouth for a minute. Start figuring out what your show is going to be. What is your release schedule going to be? And then, let's say, for simplicity's sake, you're going to do one show a month for the first year, just to see how it goes. I would not recommend that, but let's say that's what you do. Okay, so that means you're going to record 12 shows before your first one ever comes out. And then you're going to edit those shows before your first one ever comes out. And then you're going to schedule those shows for release on whatever schedule you want to do before your first one ever comes out. Now, you're like hearing this and you're saying, but I've got the best idea. It's going to be the greatest thing ever. I just want to get going. You're going to get going. The recording is the fun part. So that's the first thing you're going to do. And believe me, it's not going to be good. Unless you come from a production background. It's not going to be good. Or you have a producer from a... It's going to be the best you can do at that time. You're going to get better, but it's not going to be as great as you imagine it in your head. It's not going to be as good as it feels. So accept that as fact, get used to it, and push past it, because you have to. Practice makes perfect. So you got to get the shit out of the way first. So do it. Record them, edit them. By the time you've gotten to your 12th show, you're going to be like, man, I've gotten better. And you're going to be tempted to go back and re-record your first few, or the ones that you weren't particularly good at throughout. Don't do that. Let your audience see your improvement. It will impress them more. Leave it as it is and now you've edited them, you've scheduled them for release. Take a break. Let the first 3 to 6 release and work for you while you're gathering your thoughts about season 2, making adjustments. You're listening to comments. You have to listen to comments in the beginning, and you have to have a thick skin and a steel stomach. And yeah, the good ones are going to help. They're going to make you feel good. But the good ones, I hate to tell you, are just as worthless as the bad ones. Now, I say that, and now I'm going to tell you, learn to find out which ones are worth something. The good ones that align with what your goal was. So when I started addressing Gettysburg, I said, when my friend and I were kind of brainstorming it, I said, I want to have a podcast where people feel like they're sitting at the Reliance Mines Saloon listening to a bunch of historians talking. I want it to feel welcoming. I want it to be a little fun, a little funny, because this is fun to do, and it is a heavy subject, and humor is the best way to deal with heavy subjects. So I want it to be all that. Then when I started seeing comments where people were literally saying that as if they were in my head all those years ago, then I was like, okay, these are the comments I can believe. Now, I'm not saying that good comments and bad comments are all full of shit and that people are lying or people don't know what they're talking about. But you know the old saying, there's no accounting for taste. And, so you can't believe, people say, oh, well, don't believe what the bad comments say, because they're just jealous, or they're just this, or they're just that. That's true. But if you can't believe the bad, because they mean it too. So if you can't believe the bad, then you can't believe the good. Or you shouldn't let either one of them get into your head, I think is really what we're all saying when we say this. So don't let it get to your head. Don't let it make you have an inflated ego, and don't let it make you quit. Both of those are very difficult to do. Anyway, you're doing all this stuff and you're working on season 2. You allow yourself 3 to 6 months break. When those 3 to 6 months break are is up to you. But the key is that break is happening while shows are out there working for you. Nobody takes that advice. None of those people who don't take that advice make it past 4 episodes, because they realize you have to keep a release schedule going, and they can't because their life gets in the way. For most people, a podcast is going to be a hobby. So if you want to give yourself the best chance for that hobby to be a job, or at least supplemental income, take my advice. Thank you. What else is, let's see here. I can make sure I don't lose signal. This is one of the spots where I lose signal. Just let me look and see. Yeah, okay, good. Glad to catch it live from Nebraska. Nice. Nebraska. We got Kansas, I forgot where else. Let's see, Jeff says it was just the mid-40s self-loathing. This too shall pass, and AG is better than ever and keeps getting stronger. Thank you. What are you mid-40s self-loathing about? I thought you were in your early 40s. Or are you talking about me? I don't know. Mr. Gutty says, just want to say, I listened to the Joseph Fuqua episode on my ride home from work today, and I haven't gut laughed like that in a long time. What a character. I've held that episode on Patreon for years, and I don't remember why. I think it's because Joseph was making gay jokes, but he's gay, but I was joining in with him, and But I was like, well, I can't, you can say, and then I would bleep the word. And I said, well, I can't say bleep. And then he would say it unbleeped. I don't know. And, I have very little faith in the general public because everybody's so uptight about things. So I kept it for a while. But then I was like, you know what? F it. I'm putting it out because it's funny. He's funny. And that's that. So I'm glad you enjoyed it. There's a playlist on YouTube of all the actor, celebrity interviews that we did. And he has 2 of them. The first one's definitely funnier though. Jeff says, podcasting is way harder than it looks. Matt makes it look easy. Believe me, it's a lot of work. It is a lot of work. But anything, that you do over and over again, you get used to. But I've been doing it since 2008 digitally. But since I learned how to operate a tape recorder, I always joke that I invented the podcast because I used to do tape recordings, but a lot of people have done that. But we used to do that as little kids. In fact, one of my friends found a tape of us goofing around. But it seems like, even though I sort of knew how to work a tape recorder, for whatever reason, I was pausing the recording when we were going to do the thing we were going to do, and then I'd pause it, and then I'd unpause it and record us talking about what we were going to do or something. I can't make out what the hell it is we're doing. And I keep meaning to play it on AG today. I have it there on my desktop, and I never get around to it because I figured nobody cares to hear that. But because there's nothing I can't make sense of what the hell we're trying to do, so I can't even tell you the story behind it. But maybe I'll do it someday. But anyway, yeah, and you just got to keep at it. But you have to love it first. You have to want to do it. You have to love it first. Because it is a lot of work, and there's and it's hateful work sometimes. That the fact that I love to do it is the only thing that makes me push through on the days where I just can't stand doing it. And that's a lot. I'm sure it's more enjoyable. If you're Gary, right? And you've got a staff around you that does all the shit work that is just to me really boring. To me, the fun stuff is the hosting, talking to people. That's the fun stuff. That's what I got into all this stuff for. But because I always had an aversion to auditions and working for other people, I was like, well, I have to learn how to do all the technical crap myself if I'm going to do this, because nobody's going to come along and be like, I see something in you, kid, and I'm going to donate my time as a whatever. And no, nobody does that unless they have some ulterior motive, and I was never that good looking. Anyway, but when you have to do all of it, when you have to do the editing, you've got to do the posting, you've got to make the thumbnail, you've got to book the people, which thank God Dave helps me with that, because that is the most annoying. I'd have no guests if it weren't for Dave. Honestly, Dave is the guy that keeps this thing going, because if it weren't for Dave, I would have no guests, because I drop the ball with emails. I cannot keep up. I'm very disorganized. I'm a artsy fartsy type of guy. I'm not a brass tacks, bean counter type of guy. That stuff makes my eyes bleed. I hate it. So you can learn to hate this, if you're in my situation where until year 7, in the day-to-day, I haven't had a lot of help except for the 2 years, I think, when Eric, was it 2 years? I think Eric and I worked together for 2 years before he moved. And that was easier with Eric. And then it got harder after Eric left because Eric and I grew addressing Gettysburg and it built it up a bit. And then when he left, all of the extra work that didn't exist prior to Eric coming was now on my shoulders, on top of what remained on my shoulders during the division of labor with Eric. So that's when it became hard. That's when my knees started buckling under the weight. So all of the relief through generous donations by an anonymous donor to Digital History Pioneers that came in the last 2 years or so could not have come at a better time. And that's the beauty of life. Everything comes when it's supposed to, not when you need it or want it. Jeff says, and while editing, you'll hate what you recorded and want to change it 30 times. Yeah, you get over that. Once you feel like you've got a routine, you'll get past that. 6 Questions says, yes, having patience with yourself and allowing yourself to develop is key. It is. And most people don't do that because most of the people who've asked me for advice are they are now. They're historians. At the time they weren't. They were either in another job wanting to be historians or in school going to college to become one. But now everybody's in historian roles. But they were historians who wanted to do a podcast, and there's a growing number of people who agree with me, and that's giving me hope for what we're trying to do through Digital History Pioneers, because these people have money. That if you want to preach to the choir, yes, historians doing podcasts, historians doing videos, it's good enough. But if you want to convert the masses, you have to have content creators producing. Like, in other words, historians learning to make videos works, but it's going to always be incestuous. It's always going to be within the church, so to speak. But to get people who are not looking at history or not interested in history, you've got to have content creators, meaning producers, filmmakers, whatever, utilize the historians to make the content, but doing it as whatever, a film, a TV show. You let the filmmakers be the filmmakers, you let the TV producers be the producers, and provide the content that they need to tell the story, but they're going to make it in a way that is has more mass appeal. I think there's a lot of people who I've been talking to who've got some dough, and they're starting to see that that's not the way things have worked. Is not working anymore. It's part of the reason why we're trying to reinvent what we do here, because I get that. I see that too. I say it's always going to be I don't know what I'm saying. It's hard to sometimes it's hard to put something that I see as clear as day into words that will be as clear as day to everybody else. So forgive me. Jeffrey says, yeah. Kevin says, Jeffrey, yes, it's a lot of work. I enjoyed the few editing sessions I've seen on Matt's channel. I've told him private communication that he could always earn his living doing podcast production. Yeah, we did that for a while. We produced a few shows for realtors, actually. Realtors, it was two realtors and a tailor who did like men's suits and stuff. Really nice work. And it was fun, but all of them wanted us to be on the show with them. And we were doing our own podcast at the time. And it was like too much. And it was like, why don't you just let us produce it? You don't need us. You're engaging enough, you know, but they insisted, so they were paying. Six Versus says, yeah, I wish I had been there, could have been there with all that food. I know, and normally we don't have, as you know, we don't have that much food. And so I have to be kind of strict and be like, everybody's welcome to come and watch, but the food is for the crew. It's like I can't have like 30 people that are watching and then feed everybody pizza, because the people who are actually working don't get the food. And so, but that night would have been perfect for you to come by, because there would have been, oh, Mike, you could have eaten good for at least 3 days. Mr. Gutty says, I think it's the same for any creative endeavor too. You will never learn anything from someone saying this sucked. You'll improve your craft from critiques that are constructive. Yes, exactly. And you have to, I would suggest, and I had to like kind of retrain my brain, but I made a conscious decision to pay more attention and value more the critical or negative comments that seemed to be in the interest of helping, not just spreading misery, right? And I didn't get a lot of those. I got more positive stuff, and I'm not saying I didn't get negative comments. I'm saying you don't get a lot of comments that are negative and constructive, like negative but with good intentions. Most people don't do that, especially strangers, but I would get some, and I would listen to them, and I would ask them questions back. If I did it the way you're saying, do you think that X would happen or whatever? Because I don't know, you have to listen to the people who tell you suck. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you have a team, right, and everybody on that team always says everything you're thinking and everything you're doing is wonderful and it's a great idea. Yeah, let's do it. It's great. Ugh. No. So when I run an idea off of, or by Court or Tad or whoever it is, I'm like, what do you think of this? And they go, yeah. And I go, okay, no, really, like, tell me what doesn't work for it. Like, I have to make them do it. Because, I don't know, like, what were we talking about the other day? Oh, I was talking to Cam a few weeks ago. And, I won't go into the details, but the conversation we were having was a conversation we have had thousands, I'm not exaggerating, thousands of times in 6 years. And I say the same thing over and over, and he doesn't listen over and over. And by the way, everybody else says the same thing too. So we all say it, and I know everybody's saying it, and he doesn't listen. He has not moved the needle on this topic a blip in 6 years. And I just had it. And so I was very frank with him and very honest with him about why he keeps banging his head into a wall on this one thing and not getting the results he wants. And he got upset, and he cried and hung up. And I called him back, and of course he didn't answer. And so I left a message, and I was like, listen, when I have a friend, I want my friend to tell me the thing I don't want to hear. Because you're not real friends are not going to tell you the thing you don't want to hear. They don't want to make waves. They don't want to hurt your feelings or whatever. A true friend is going to tell you what you don't want to hear. And that's when I know I have a true friend, is when somebody tells you something you don't want to hear, in a respectful way, not like an asshole. And that's when it clicks for me. So that's what a true friend does. And I want my friends to tell me what I don't see. Like if I'm delusional about something, I want you to tell me what I don't see. Because if I go out in public and do something, guess who's going to tell me what I don't see? Everybody. And I'd rather hear it from a friend beforehand than everybody afterhand and be embarrassed. So, or publicly fail, or whatever it is. So I told Cam, I was like, if that's not what a friend is to you, if your friends are your friends because they only tell you what you want to hear, then then I'm not the type of friend that you want. And so he called me the next day, and he apologized, and he said a bunch of nice things and stuff. But that to me is it. And so like I do value people who can respectfully tell you suck, or tell you you're crazy, or whatever, in the interest of seeing you do well. Let's take a look at the Jeb Stuart monument there. It's not a very good angle today. Sorry about that. All right, let's see. Let me get through the comments here. Let's see. Brave Nebraska, that kind of lost thing. We don't get much from there in the E. Another person. Special congratulations, Jeff. Unfortunately, Sabres, blah, blah, blah. Sports. Let's see. Welcome, Dutch Gal. I agree with Matt. I've always thought that working for other people was a waste of time for me. It is. And I feel like an asshole saying that, because most people have to. And I'm, and if that works for you, good. I can't. Like, I physically can't. It makes me feel physically ill to have to work for somebody else. It feels like I imagine prison feels like. You're scheduled from X to X, and, to the minute. Can't do that. Please make sure to subscribe, and hype addressing Gettysburg. Thank you, Jeffrey Pasnick, for saying that. Make sure to get the notifications, not miss a Gettys Nerd moment. That's beautifully said. Wonder Monkey says, Jeff, show me how to hype. Yeah, I got to do it. I'll do a post or something, show you where hype is. It's down by I think it's actually where the comments are. If you're watching on your phone, go to where the comment bubble is and swipe to the left, and there will be a hype button. But it doesn't do it for every video. I don't know if it doesn't do it for live videos, but it does it for pre-recorded uploads. I don't know, but it's there once in a while. I believe the shoe function shows up on recorded shows and not live ones, says Jeff. What's the shoe function? I've been trying to figure it out and noticed that with hype, it's on recorded posted shows only. Oh, I should have. Thanks, Rod and Dutch Gal, for the super chat. Hype function, yes, okay, good. Gaslight says, would something like strategic envelopment work in the American Civil War, or were armies too small to engage in those operations? No, they enveloped. Um, Six questions says, yes, hype does not work on live shows. Okay, good. So we know that. Hype doesn't work on live shows. Gaslight, the party between the forces was too even for envelopment. The closest was last happened up in Maddox. I'm sure there had to be examples of, maybe not large scale, but there had to be examples of envelopment on a small scale, right, Mike? Come on, no? Gaslight, I mean, right here, like Pickett's men, when they got to the wall, they were kind of getting it on both sides. But you're talking strategic, so that's like large scale. Okay, never mind, sorry. Gaslight, some of the armies were certainly large enough, but some were not. Six questions, maybe if the Union forces in the valley had coordinated better. See, that's the thing, is how do you use them? And who's using them? Babra said, I would think being your own boss would be much more stressful than working on someone. Yeah, it is, but it's a stress I'm willing to deal with because the reward is better. The relief is better. If I fail, I fail. So in other words, if I fail and lose everything, right? I make a bad decision and addressing Gettysburg just goes belly up. That's my decision. Might be hard to live with for a while, but it's mine and I own it. And there's a lesson to be learned for whatever I do next. If I get fired from a job because my bonehead boss made a stupid decision and now we're not making as much money as we used to make and I'm on the chopping block for no fault of my own, I can't live with. So I did not like that. And actually, when I started addressing Gettysburg, before I was able to quit other jobs, I was working at a job part-time for like I had an insurance license and I was selling at a call center. I was selling, life and health insurance and all that stuff. Like when your work, when you have open enrollment through your work and you would call to make all your decisions and stuff like that, I was one of those guys you would call. Well, they made a bonehead move. And a month later, they let like 13 of us go the week before Christmas. I was one of them. And that was my final reminder. I am never working for somebody else for as long as I live. And if addressing Gettysburg doesn't work in the long term, and my only other option is living under a bridge, I will live under a bridge. I will get rid of it all and live under a bridge until I die, then have to work for somebody else again. Somebody told me they read an article that Burger King is using AI in the headsets or record, I don't know, something they're like in the headsets that the drive-through people use to count how many times they do or don't say thank you and good afternoon and all that stuff. If that's where corporate is going now, the corporate America is going to the drive-through window operator, and they're gonna count how many thank yous they do. And what are you gonna do? You're gonna like drag them in and say, you only had 17 thank yous, but you did 27 calls or 27 orders on your last shift. We got to get that thank you number up, okay? It's like in Office Space. I can't watch Office Space too many times because it depresses me. That's the way most people have to live. So I was like, okay, if that's where corporate America is going now, where they're going to abuse the fucking drive-through window operators over thank yous, and they're going to potentially fire them if they don't get enough thank yous in, or like, what is the point of that? And the worst part of it is AI is going to do it. And I'm sure AI is going to just tip off a manager, and then the manager would go and listen to the recorded call or the recorded conversation. But I don't know. It's just something about that rubbed me the wrong way. And I was like, I don't ever want to get back into that world. Yes, absolutely dystopian, says Mr. Gutty. Wundermonkey, yes, I would autograph bags of Little Ground Top if people actually wanted that. SS says, good morning, Matt. The wife and I went to the Roasters Coffee during our visit to Gettysburg. Great coffee. Love catching you live. Thanks. Did you get a bag of Little Ground Top, or were they sold out already? Kevin says, it's probably Babra, but it's what I did for almost 50 years, so I was okay with it. You do pay a price for that autonomy, though. Yeah, you certainly do. The physical toll, the stress takes on you is worse, because it's real stress. You're out on a limb. There is no safety net for me. Like, I can't get unemployment, but I have to pay into unemployment. So, like, that's, one of the, and then also, when you get a W-2 paycheck, you pay 7.5% employment tax, and your employer pays the other 7.5%. When you're self-employed, you pay 15%. So there's that joy, and so there are. I'll put it like this: you are punished for being self-sufficient in this country. Hopefully someday that might change. I doubt it. But the thing is, a truly independent person will take those licks to not have to answer to a boss. And we all answer to a boss, right? My boss, unfortunately, is at the end of the year, the federal government and the state government, when you have to, give your pound of flesh. Okay, everybody has to pay taxes. Well, almost everybody. So whatever, you gotta do that. And well, okay. And then indirectly, my boss is the audience. If the audience is like, I don't like what you're doing over anymore, like going in this direction, and overwhelmingly they're like, this sucks, and what happened to the old stuff, and blah 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 blah, which audiences inevitably do. Then I have to make a decision. It's like, okay, well, these people literally pay my salary, so do I listen to them and go back to what they like, or do I take a risk and a gamble on myself and this new direction I want to go in, and go, well, maybe I'll find a larger audience with this direction, and maybe then the old audience will kind of see the error of their ways and come along with me. But change is uncomfortable. We don't like change. We like things the way they are. I mean, listen, I was a lifelong Howard Stern fan, and believe me, I understand it's not the way it used to be, because that's the story of the Howard Stern show. It's not the way it used to be. But it evolved. If you look back at it, it evolved. He grew. The times changed. Tastes change. And he got older, and you lose your fire as you get older. And so, yeah, the show's going to change. It's okay if you don't change with it. So I'm no longer a Howard Stern fan. It's boring now. But I can still listen to the old ones, and they're funny. My point is, things change, things evolve. 7 years. We've been addressing Gettysburg 7 years. It needs to grow. And it's going to this year. And it'll still stay the same, but we're going to have extra stuff. And if you don't like it, you don't like it. That's fine. Hopefully we'll find people who do. Kevin says, yes, Matt, I farmed myself out to work under others a few times, and it paid very well, but I didn't like it. Yeah, I mean, I would do short-term things if they paid very well, and it was like, because they're like, I like what you do here, would you come and do it for us or whatever. I would do that short-term. But I have always fought to keep my mind, and every effort, whether it was in grammar school or high school or college or the brief stint in corporate America, every effort that was made to capture my mind and curb it and kill it, really. I mean that's what conformity is it's the killing of the free thought and independent thought, and it's getting everybody to step in line and think the same way and behave the same way. Every effort, I fought it, and I was always getting in trouble. I was in the principal's office all the time at school. So I just, it never, ever felt comfortable to me. It felt like a violation of my being, and I hated it. And so I fought it. I'd go along to get along, but I'd always do a little something tongue-in-cheek or get some kind of jab in there to show that I don't agree with this or I don't buy into this, but I'll do it because that's the game. But yeah, and so I feel the same way about like corporations and the way they all work, and it's sad. It's sad. Yeah, I figure I got you there, Kevin. Don't worry. Office Space is too real life. Thank you, Matt, for AG, as it grounds us all. Oh, I don't know about that, but maybe for you it does, Jeff. I'm glad to hear that. And it uplifts the masses. Well, I don't know about that either, but I hope it does. I hope, you can't speak for everybody, but I'm sure that is what you mean about you, and thank you. But I can't let my head get that big. Barbara Schultz says, you've been missing a lot of work lately. Well, Bob, I wouldn't say I've been missing it. Yeah. Paul, good morning. Sorry I missed the start of the morning drive. That's all right. Kevin says, I don't miss work either, Barbara. Been enjoying my time for over 13 years now. Loved working. Never said TGIF, but I'm not missing work. Yeah, you know what else? When I worked for other people, if it was a job that was a Monday through Friday job, I could not wait for the weekend. Now, I can't wait for Monday, because weekends to me are idle time now, and I don't like that. I don't like not working. I don't like feeling useless. Now, you can call it rest, you can call it quality time or whatever, but to be honest with you, I had basically a full decade of that when I was like in my deep depression 30s and couldn't really find gainful and useful employment. I had plenty of that. Now I need to be useful, and I need to feel useful, and I need to make up for lost time, and blah, 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 blah. And weekends, vacations, I don't see the point or the joy in them. I really don't. I don't want to work Monday through Friday. I want to work when I need to work. And if that means 7 days a week here and there, then I do it. And I don't mind it. I like it. I feel useful. And I have something to show when the work is finished. So why wouldn't I want to work? I can't. When Friday comes, I can't wait for Monday, because I want to get back to work. I want to get back to, meeting people and talking about history with them and projects that we could do together and everything. I live for this shit. I love it. I love it. It's exhausting, yes, but I love it. Good morning, Bill. Have a great weekend. Floridian approved. Good morning. Dogface says, got the South Boston St. Patrick's Day Parade this Sunday and the big 250th and for Evacuation Day of Boston. Oh, it's St. Patrick's Day this Sunday. Oh, man. Bill says, good morning, Matt. Have a great weekend. And then he says, never mind that. Yeah, I mean, it's still nice to do something on the way. Don't get me wrong. I do enjoy leisure time and fun and all that stuff. But I think what I'm saying, if the choice of Saturday or Sunday activity is sit around the house or work, I'd rather work. Kevin says, I agree with you on that, Matt. I work 7 days a week, sun up to sundown in the summer. I loved it. My time was in winter when I didn't work most weekends. Yeah, and so, right. March, April through October, December, that's when I'm constantly on the go. There's always something going on. Winter is the time for me to take those weekends, recuperate, rejuvenate, whatever. But now we're heading into the good times, the good weather, and we have some big ideas and we have some big plans. And I'm going to be pulling a lot of 6-7 day weeks. A lot of that's because some of the people I'm working with have the Monday through Friday thing, and they're only available on the weekends. And so we can't work together unless it's on the weekend, and that's fine. Got to do what I got to do, right? Right. What is it Lee says to Longstreet in the movie? We do what we must do, General. Or something like that. What does he say? How does that go? I got to watch that again. I have a home office. I do. Yeah, I do. I do work there. I have a standing desk there. I have to get one put in the studio, but in order to do that, we have to really tear everything apart. I think when Derek gets here, I'm going to say to him and Tad, all right, guys, what do we do? How do we reshape everything here? It's a new Addressing Gettysburg, so that means we got to have a new atmosphere at the studio. Let's make some changes. And that's it. All right, I got to go get some coffee and start the day. The best part of waking up is little ground top in your cup. Little ground top, the fresh maker. No, that's wait, who's the fresh maker? That was Mentos. Yeah, right? Mentos, freshness, yes. All right, I got to go. You guys have a great day. Thanks for joining me. I'll talk to you next time. Have a nice weekend.